progress.
Uh, it's a good evening, everyone. I think we should just start. This is 12 past 6 already. Okay, so let me just give a brief of what we had in our last section. Our last section was basically a run through of what we had last year, and then a part of it was talking about Bootstrap, and whereby we talked about components on Bootstrap. Hello, sorry, can someone hear me? Can someone confirm that you can hear me? Hello.
I hear you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, we can hear you, sir. Can hear you, sir.
All right, thank you so much. Good evening. Okay, so
Yes, we can hear you.
so then we moved to Bootstrap and we talked about components and then how Bootstraps helps with getting things done faster. So we talked about the naming pattern we have in Bootstrap, just like, okay, you have display flex, you want it to display flex on mobile, on desktop, you want it to look different and all of that. So we briefly mentioned this stuff last class, and I believe I mentioned this in our last class, that was last year. Last class last year. Yeah, that was 2 classes ago. That we should not go through the Bootstrap documentation to actually get more insight into how these things work. And definitely, there was no assignments last week, and I believe we are still going through the documentation and what we've done. So basically, today we'll be continue with this site, and I want to believe you can also see my screen. So this is the site we are working towards, and then this is our code base. And I think I already shared the link to the repo with us on the group chats, the WhatsApp group chats. And then this is where we were as at last year before we closed. Okay, so we'll be continuing with this, and just like I mentioned, we'll be continuing using Bootstrap, and then let's see how far or how much we can get this thing done. So basically, we'll stop probably, I don't know, it depends on how fast we can move. And then you guys might have to complete the rest as assignments against next week. So basically, this is what will be expected of you to do. We have the site here. Let me just, okay, this is the link. So this is the site, and you'll be expected to, you don't need to clone it. You can just fork the repo. Fork it means you click on this button here. If you click on this button, it allows you to make a copy of it. So I can't, okay, it says create a new fork. So you want to create a fork of it. Where do you want to create a fork of it? A fork basically means you are making a copy of a particular repo. So once you make a copy of the repo, you can do whatever you want to do with it. And then, so just like what we have here, it says a fork is a copy of a repository. Forking a repository allows you to freely experiment with changes without affecting the original project. So basically, that's just what it does. So you'll be making a fork or taking a fork of this repo, and then you continue the other part of the page from your own end against next week. So when we meet next week, you all be expected to push back to this my own branch. So when you make a fork from here, and once you are done with your page, you make a, what's it called, push back to this list, and then you can make a pull request rather, and then I get to check, and I will explain when we get to that part next week. So but basically we'll be having assignments this week, and that will be like continue or completing the remaining parts of this page. Are we together? Okay, so basically that's that. Do we all get what I mean by forking a repo? Okay, I think should I just make an example of it? Okay, let's say for example, this repo is, you can see it's under BB test, this, and then you can see this option fork. And then if you click on this, you get some information. So I'm gonna click, it says fork your own repo of BB Waterview. Yes, I want to make a fork of it. So where do you want to create it? Okay, let's say I'm saying I want to create it here. So this, and then do you want to just copy the main branch? Okay, copy the main branch only. Just go through and then click on fork, creating fork. So it will create it where you have the stuff here. So you can see this is the new, what's it called? This is now a copy of what we're working on. So you can make changes to this, all of that, and then so we have this. So this is now this, and then you now clone this to your system. So to clone it, you now click on this, copy this address, and then you clone to your system, work from this, push back to this place. So basically, I'll be checking what you've done. So when you're making a push of your own, when you make a fork of it and then you are working from your own, it would be nice if you guys can actually do this too. I'm gonna add something to this, to what we are doing here, and that's a URL which you can actually get to check our status. So basically, I might not go into the details of what you've done until we are done with this whole section. Except of course you have issues, you definitely reach out to us so we can know what is and what is not. So basically the URL you'll be generating a URL either on Netlify or Vercel to actually host what you've done. And then anybody and everybody can get to see what you've done, interact with it there. Instead of just going through the whole code and say, okay, is this making sense and all of that. So basically that's that. So let's move to, before we get so deep into a coding part, so let me just do the what's it called. So basically, this is now a fork of the repository we were working from. You can see this is on brother bond and not BB test again. And it says here, forked from this particular stuff. So it's telling us the reference from which we have the repository. So I'm going to do something from this point. And I'm going to go to settings, scroll down to this place, delete this repository. So I want to delete, yes. Yes. And then this is you deleting the repository. So I don't need this here. I'm just showing you how to create a fork of it. Okay, I'll show this password. Okay. So are we together? Hello guys. So the second part which I mentioned is hosting the application on a site like Vercel or Netlify. So basically we have two sites. Developers, should I say front-end guys, mostly used for testing or showcasing what they've done. The first one is Netlify, which is this. And then the first one rather is Netlify, and why the second one is Vercel. So basically, there are other sites, but basically you hear more of Netlify and Vercel. So personally, I prefer the interface we have on Vercel to Netlify. So I work more with Vercel than Netlify. Both are okay. It all depends on you. They follow the same pattern. So basically, we just go with Vercel for now. So Vercel, I'm going to host this on Vercel now. So I already have an account. So for somebody who is just starting out, you might want to create an account with Vercel. So you have the sign up button here. If you are working with mobile, I want to believe most of us are working from our system. So if you're working from the mobile stuff, you get to click on this icon here, the hamburger here, you get to see this option and then you click on sign up. But I'm not signing up, I just want to log in. So I'm going to click the login button. Okay. When creating your account, if memory serves me right, you can create an account straight up using your GitHub account. So you don't need to enter username and all of that. You just click on, okay, I want to sign in now. You're gonna sign in with my GitHub account. So since my GitHub is already signed in, I'm already signed in this particular browser. It's you just pick it up and then load it into my details here. So you can see these are the stuffs I have currently on Vercel here. So this is my dashboard. Okay. Seems they're using SGS. Yeah, Next.js. Okay, Vercel is actually owned by what was it called? Yep. Okay, so the next part is you want to create a new project. So how do you add a new project? You can see there's add new button here. So add new projects. So then you get to see this option. Where are you adding the project from? So I'm coming from, you get to see this option. If you are working with multiple accounts, you get to see these options, but we are coming from BB test. You just, most important thing is picking the right GitHub repository accounts. Then you can search, but we are not searching here. We already know what, okay, what do we have here? So from BB test, we are looking for, so we are looking for this guy. So we say imports. Okay, so team name. No. Because you are deploying from written is required for collaboration with what's it called? Okay, let me just say test. So let me just call it up for you. So I say for you. Same test successfully. Okay. Okay, so you can continue. Says you can edit the team settings later. Okay, reset this. So you pick the projects, all of this. So basically, you don't really need to do anything. Like I think I mentioned this when we were starting out that by default, when you have an index.html file, it picks it as the default what's it called for your project. So from here, just click on deploying. Okay, so then it does all of whatever it's doing. And once it's done, you get to see it. So basically, so what we've created is done, and this is the site. So you can see Aphoria 10 at Vercel.app. So basically, what we've done here, what we have this, the last push of this to this gets automatically deployed to Vercel, which is on this my dashboard. And then you get to see it here. So you can actually share this with anybody that, okay, this is what we are working on. So I'm gonna copy this and share on the group chat. So so my own reference was equal would be that particular link. So I just pasted the link on the group chat now. So basically that's just that. That's deploying. So it's as simple as that. So anybody can check that link at any time to see how far we've gone with our projects. Are we together? So that's not the main focus of this. So I'm just showing you this so that you know what it's expected of us against the next class. So basically when we're meeting next class, I hope like next week Friday, I'll probably just go through all the links we have submitted and then check what we have. So I might not actually go into the codes to see what has been done or not, but I'll see the UI, collapse it, check for the responsiveness, and then move on. Then if you have any questions, it will be addressed. So same thing applies to this side too. You can do the same thing and then we are all fine and good. So I think I'm using an organization. I'm having a post of no problem. Okay, I'm gonna close this and I'm going to close this too. So back to this guy and this. So in our, should I say, last, or should I say 2 classes ago, we were able to get this header, even though it's not looking like it yet. And then we have all of this to deal with. So we're gonna continue with the other part of it. So from the other part, we have this. So I'm gonna disable all of this. So the idea is when you are working, it's always good to divide your work into smaller sections. So you do it one, after one, you move to the next one like that till you get to the end of it. So but I think the last section I added this so that we can at least just move away from just this header, that we can actually see some other things, how we can add some other things to it, and which was why this came in. So I'm gonna go back and edit this, remove this, and then edit this. So back to this code. So one thing you want to always do is format your code. When you format your code, you can easily track, okay, this is from this section to another section. So we are working with header. Inside body, we have header directly, and then after that, we have body. So we can just come to this guy and say class. We have a class called dNone in Bootstrap, which means display null. So D, just like we have dflex here, it means display flex. dNone means don't display it. So if you come back here, you can see it's all gone. So all we have left is this our header. So back to the header. On the header, we have some things, and usually you want to notice some things with your work. You notice the pattern, especially when we are working with Figma. You see a lot of pattern. Let me just open the Figma's link so that you can have a view of what it's like. Okay, let me open this. So because mostly your designs will come from something like Figma and the likes. So not you looking at the sites, you actually replicate what is done there. So when you have something like this, how do you go about it? You notice some pattern, go through the designs, see some pattern, and then you'll be able to pick out some common things out. You define your buttons, your classes, and all of that. In addition to what you have from either Tailwind or Bootstrap, depending on whichever one you are working with. So if I open this, we notice something here. You can see this button, this button. If you check this, if you inspect this, you notice like this one is saying, what do we have here? Height, width, okay. Then you get to see some properties here. You can see something like padding, margin, and all of that inside this list. And then you see this, and then you might see like, okay, this particular selection box looks like this one, looks like this, and looks like this, except that the content of this is more than what you have here than this and this. So how do you make sure that you have this thing? You don't have to create this in 4 places. Okay, the only difference between what you have here, and here is just the content, the word content you have there. So which means you have to create a component for that separately, which you can actually use, or you have some classes defined to actually hold all those properties that these guys hold. And then which means you can now just call the class or classes on the instances of this this selection item you have. So, and then if you look at this is a card. You can see this card, all of these, you have items there. You can see they all follow the same pattern. Even though this is another section, you notice that they also follow the same pattern, even though this one might be looking like, okay, this is just showing a picture, but this one is showing you a video. So how do you deal with it? Which means you have a situation, you need to be able to create some classes or set of classes so that you can actually do something like this or this. So basically that's, and then you want to import your images. So I'm sorry. So if you come to this place, you see what we have here. You have this button. This button is still the same thing as this and this, except that the content So, and if you look at this button and this button, they look like the same thing. Like if you look at the structure, they look the same thing, except that the background of this is different from the background of this, and the color you have used here is different from what you have used here. And then you have this pattern again. So all of these guys, you can see them as like following a particular pattern. There's an image that has another image inside, like there's a background color that has another image before this. So you might want to create some classes to actually handle all of these things. And then you can see this button here, which is almost like this, except for you might be seeing it like, okay, there is more of probably margin and padding for this than what we have with this one. So as much, hello. So basically, those are the patterns you
Mr. Kenny, good evening, sir. So I'm just joining the class. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Okay, so basically,
Is this I'm just joining the class. Sorry, sir, for coming late. Is this
no. We are not working on this. I'm doing some explanation, and that's why I had to make reference to what we have here. So we are going back to what we were working with. So, like I mentioned, you notice some pattern in what you have. You have a button here, and you have this button here. So if you scroll down, this is actually an image. So you can see it says open image, new tab, image, copy image. So these are images. And then you see this button. So you want to look out for your buttons. What kind of structure do you have? We can see this and that one here. So you might want to define your classes for them. But so we go back to the top. So we have this guy. We know this and we have this already. Based on what we have here. Okay, we have this, but we don't have navigation. We have just the image. This and this. Sorry, a minute. Okay, all right, sorry. So from the last what's it called we have here, we have the navigation section, and then we have the image, this and this. So, but in the navigation what's it called, we have not just only the image, there is actually a word or a text beside it. So I'm just gonna go back to the code and adjust what we have here. So you can come back to this later and see. Said the div, so you can work with a div, or call it a span. Since you are using Flex, it doesn't matter if you are using span or div. So let's just go with div. So this is this. And then you can say we have a span.
sir, please?
Yeah. Hello.
It's not clear. I'm not seeing it. It's very small.
You said? Hello.
It's not clear. It's not clear. It's not like it's not good.
What are you saying is not clear? Let me get you.
I was saying that it was not clear, like it was not bold. It's fine.
Okay.
I can see it now. No, the words there, like LI class, scarce to see. Don't worry, it's fine.
Okay, sorry. Is anybody also having issues with what I'm working with here? Hello.
Yes, I'm a bit lost.
Okay, which parts?
Okay, I mean the what you're working on, I don't know where you got it from.
Okay, I'll just, this is what we have. I think last year, I think that was middle of last year or something. We've gone through the HTML, CSS, gone through some properties and all of that and tags. So we were working on a demonstration, something to just show how all of these things work together. And then we picked a site. I actually picked the site, then which is this. So, and the reason, one of the reasons why I picked it is because of the simplicity of what we have here. So we can use it to run a small test, see how things work, and then after which we have another test, which will be more detailed than this site. So that's basically what we're doing. So we started with the header part of it. So the other part of it, we've already talked about how to structure the code, and we had some stuffs in the head section, all of that. So basically we are building this page. We are just building this landing page. We are not building the whole site. So we are just focusing on the landing page of the site. And like I mentioned earlier today, that we most likely won't be able to finish this in this section. So you guys will have to go through the video and then complete it from your own pattern. That was why I mentioned making a fork of this repository, making a fork of it, and then once you make a fork of it, you can continue adjusting from wherever we stopped, and then get it done against next class. So next class will be more of reviewing what we've done, and then any other adjustments we need to make to it, we do that. So another thing that was mentioned was use of Bootstrap. Like, okay, instead of, if you notice now, so very large extent, if I open this file now, you can only see just 2 or 3 things here. Basically just, okay, some default definition, declarations, and then you have header, navigation, nothing serious here. And why? Because we have some classes already coming in from Bootstrap. You can say Fluid, empty, all of these things are coming from Bootstrap. So we don't have to start declaring all the classes ourselves again.
Okay.
So now when I started this, like resumed back to this, so we noticed, or should I say I noticed that, okay, what we have here on this on the header part here, we have a text with the logo. But what we had initially there, it was just the image. So that was why I put this, I have this inside the div and then put the text inside the span. So we all know the span is inline text, so it's gonna be in line with the image. And then this div, except of course we have some declaration for image to be blocked. So if we don't declare, okay, so we have image to declare to be blocked here. So except for that, you have your, so I'm gonna say go to 1000 was equal. So you can see the image is above the text. Why? Because the image has been declared block. So what we can do in this case is if I don't want to change the structure for image, I can just come to this and say class flex. So that's saying use flex. So you can say with flex, we now have this beside this. So you want to go back to this guy here. You want to measure the distance between this guy and this guy. So there are different ways of doing it. And one of the things I think I mentioned in one of our classes last year, December, was installing some extensions that could actually make our work easier. Okay, for example, one of them is this guy here. So this allows me to get a rough overview of what we have on this site. So from what we have here, you can see the distance between this logo and this whatever is around 11.4 pixel. But you might also want, if you are looking for a rough idea of what you have there, because once you start working with Bootstrap and all of this stuff, you might want to work with some defined font sizes or pixel and all of that, instead of just putting, okay, does it make sense and not all of that. So I'm gonna pick this like this, come to this, inspect. Since we don't have a Figma design, we have to inspect the what's it called itself and look at what we have here. So we have a tag. So this, according to their own words, this is how they did this. So this is a tag, and then inside a tag, you have picture and you have this. So we want to know the distance between picture and this guy here. So what is A? We don't know A. You can come to computed. Computed will tell you the size of A. Computed is telling you A is what? 382 points this. That's the width, and then this is the height of it. So, but we have this guy here, and we have this guy here, but we don't know the distance between this guy and this guy. Right? Hello, are we together?
Yes.
Okay, so in such a situation like this, it might actually be going through a lot of stress trying to check this, start measuring all of these things from this guy here, and that's where I said this guy comes into play. With it, you can get a rough idea of the distance between this and this list. Okay, we said something like it's around 11 pixels. So we might want to just come to this list and say we want to use a gap between these items. So when you're working with flex, you can work with gap. So if you say gap of 2, so what is gap of 2? Gap of 2 is saying put a space of gap 2 between the items you have in that particular section. So if you come to this list, you can see you now have a gap between this guy and this guy. So if we increase it to 3, you can see that the space has increased as well too. So you want to check what's actually gap 2. So this is this guy here, this is this. So that's gap 3. So if you look at what gap 3 is saying 1 REM. So what is 1 REM? If you come to this guy computed, you can see row gap is what 16 pixels. So you are saying the row gap is 16 pixels. So the distance between this and this guy is 16 pixels. So which is actually more than the 11 pixel we measured earlier on. So you might want to work with something smaller. So we put it at gap 2. So what do we have? Gap 2 is 8 pixels. So basically 8 pixels is still okay. 8 pixels is still sense making. So if you look at what we have here, this is my full screen. So we have this, the space between this is like 8 pixels. Escape. So I'm gonna click this guy again. So the space you have here too. Are we together? So it's not impossible while I was trying to use the ruler to measure this, because I wasn't looking at, okay, where exactly is the end of this, the exact end of this. So it might actually be 8 pixels and not that 11. Probably I've measured the part of this alongside with this. But the main idea is this: it gives me a rough idea of what I'm looking at. And then there's another, what's it called, which is this guy here, which allows you to see the details of a selected item. So you can see this and this is what's 8 pixels. Are we together? Are we together? So 8 pixels. But when you're working from Figma, you see you can measure the exact what's it called. So this is this. I want to look for something new. So you have this as 55 what's it called, and then this is what's it called, 33 at the center. So you can easily do the subtraction and know the difference between this and this guy. There is one thing I'm looking for here. There's this you can actually use to measure the distance between components in Figma. Okay, so that's just that. So we have this as 8 pixel between these, and then it's always like this on all screen sizes. So if you want to collapse it, this is you collapsing it. So me collapsing that, this, you can see this is already looking terrible. So if I collapse it a bit, it's looking nice. Usually some designers or developers assume that people will not, most probably will not be using something like 792 and all of those guys there. So they will just, is it okay at this point? Is it okay at that point? They will just check something like, is it okay at, this is 44, 44, whatever. Is it okay at this point? Is it okay at this smaller one too? So obviously this is not looking good. So if you are using a tablet to view the site, you'll be seeing this on the site, and then obviously you'll be like, what's going on here? And then you want to be like, is it okay at this point? So definitely, if you are viewing this site on the mobile, what's it called? You'll be like, okay, the site is looking nice and all of that. But when you open it on a very small screen like this, then you start having issues. You'll be like, who are those that worked on this stuff? So, but usually because most users and most phones and almost everybody is using iPhone in Lagos. So you at least get something like this if you are viewing it from your device. So if you are seeing something like this on your device, it means probably you are working with a very small or old phone with small pixel or what have you. So basically that's just it. But usually it's advisable, like normal standard, to pick something like 360. So when you work with 360 as your minimum, what's it called? Minimum pixel, like minimum reference point. So anything below 360, you're on your own. And then you have some developers, depending on the site, what's your focus? Is your site focused on what's it called? Are you looking at your targeted audience? Your audience, are they going to be more of phone users or laptop users? So if they're gonna be more of laptop users, then you want to make it desktop first. But if it's gonna be mobile first, if most of your users are gonna be coming from mobile, then you want to make it mobile first. But generally, it's said that for most developments, it should be mobile first, because most users want to check on mobile before using their desktops. So basically, this is the site. So I'm gonna expand it back. Go back to this, please. So we have these guys, we have these guys. So we want to define our buttons. So let's go into this. So you can split this guy, split right. So you can have a class called BNT. So usually you see something like a pattern of saying BNT for buttons. So what do you want in BNT? So you can have BNT. What do we have for our buttons? You have to expect the button. So what we have in a button is X. So what we have here is 2 pixel, and then this is 2 MD3 here, 2 pixel, 2 MD3 here. Okay, and then what else again? So you can see you have the class definition for it here. This is new BNT. So this is the definition for it. So you can just pick all of this. So basically, like I said, if you are working from Figma, all of this information will be on the design. Just like you have here, you can see this guy is telling you width of this of this, and all of that. And then if you click on, okay, this is export, no export comments. Properties. So properties, you can see it says this is color, this font weight, font details, and then the layout of it. So to very large extent, if you are working from this, you most probably have the details of what you are working with. So, but in this case, since we are working with this site, we just copy all of this here. And then we say for BNT, this is what a BNT should look like.
Sir, please, I have a question. This thing you're teaching us now, was it from that last class that was not recorded that day?
Sorry, I can't hear you clearly.
This thing you're teaching us now, was it from that last class that was not recorded?
Last class, we didn't really do much in last class. Last class was more
I
about,
don't mean last class. I mean last year, there was this class that was not recorded. Where you did something. Is it the continuation?
yeah, it's a continuation of it.
Because I don't understand what you're doing.
Okay, actually, the thing is the last class that was unrecorded, this class, if I remember quite alright, this actually started before that class, because even the so-called class that was not recorded was more about Bootstrap and the structure. than, so I can tell you that to a very large extent, if you've not joined the previous, like the first class, you can still catch up with what we are doing here. And that was where
I
the last
understand,
class
but before that class that was recorded, the last person stopped where this guy was doing his own assignment.
I can't get
That guy that
your voice is breaking.
the last class before the class that was recorded was the
Okay.
class where you were using particular assignment, a guy's assignment, what's his name? Oluwaseyi, a barrister. That was the last class before that class that was recorded. Because
No,
this
that
one now,
probably like the first or second class. So where I was using
I've been going on the whole class to understand this one though.
honestly, I can't really hear you. How do we do this? Okay, let's just do something. Can you just follow up with what we have here, and then if you have any issues, we can have a run through of whatever it is. So for the sake of others, let's just continue with what we have here, and then if you have any issues, please just let me know. Okay. So I said something about patterns for buttons. So for this button, you notice this, and then you see something. Yes, he is using this from Bootstrap. There's PX2. So PX2, PX2. So you might want to decide, okay, do you want your buttons to be decided using the Bootstrap classes, or you want to decide them in your, what's it called, in your class definition? So you can say something like this. So you have BNT of this, and then you can say so this is this guy. So by default, all BNT should carry this. So you can have BNT lights. So you can say something like this lights BNT lights. Okay, I'll use this. Okay. Okay. Then what do we have here? So we have 0.5 REM. So that's left and right. PX left and right. Okay. 0.5 REM. So what does this mean? Is that if you come to this list and say this guy here, okay, we have this, we are using this as an anchor. Okay. Should we declare an anchor as button? Type BNT. Okay, let's call it a type BNT. So we call it type BNT. BNT. Then you can say BNT lights. So with this declaration, you can come to this list, inspect. So we declared it on this guy. So we should be able to see what we have here. So you can see BNT lights. Okay, BNT lights is coming from, we already have BNT lights from Bootstrap. This, okay. So the thing is this in our own BNT? No, it's not in our own BNT. Okay, and that reminds me of something. Cool. This guy here, there's a guy here we saw the last class. So I'm gonna reduce the size of this first, so we can see it. Okay, so watch SAS. So I'm gonna click on it. So it's now watching my SAS. So any changes we have here, it will reflect it there. So go back to terminal. So I can increase this. Okay. So this should go back down here. So if we come back to this list, we should see our class BNT. So, but you notice one thing here, this guy is actually generated like this. You can see BNT. But if you look at what I have here, you have this at root declaration. So this will actually make it to have this declared outside of this, something like this. So I'm gonna go back to this and say at root declaration of this. So it has seen the changes, updated this. So if you come to this list, you can see BNT is standing alone and this is alone. So which means you can use this class without having
It's
it
7
attached
o'clock.
to this class. Okay, no problem. So basically that's that. So we have our BNT declared. So the next part of it is, so we have primary, all of these, water view, but we are not working with them. So we have this, what we have here, we have this guy. Okay, we have it as gray. And under gray, what do we have as gray? We have this color stuff. So usually when you are declaring your BNT, you want to declare them, you want to declare color separate, you want to declare size separately. Okay, so in this gray stuff, you can say, instead of me saying light, it's actually not light. So we have it as gray. And then, so when you're working with gray, what kind of stuff do you want with gray? You want the background to be like this. You want the background to be like this. You want this and this. So we can come back to this guy here and tell it to be gray. And so you can see it's now what we have here. So if you inspect this guy, which is this button, this, you can say it has a padding of what, 8 and then 5. So on small screen. So when you get to big screen, what do you have? It's still the same. The padding has increased towards 16, right? And then when you get to this guy, it's just 16, all through 16. So that's the padding along the x-axis. But along the y-axis, it's raised 5. So if you keep on reducing this guy, just watch this while you adjust this. So we've already selected this button. So the changes we'll be seeing will be respect to this selected button. So if you click, so you notice at the point the value changed. So at what point it actually changed at that should be like 768. So let's just take it a bit slowly here. So just watch. So you can see the breaking point is 768. So what do we do from here? So we know that along the x-axis, along the y-axis, the padding remains the same thing, but along the x-axis, it changes from 8 to what's it called? So what we can do there is so for this guy, we can declare button padding of this. So we come back to this. Inspect what we have here, which is this guy. If you check the computer, you can see we have 8 pixels. But if you increase this guy from now to God knows, you can see it's still taking that 8 pixel. It's still taking that 8 pixels. So how do we do that? So in the normal Bootstrap stuff, you would have done something like this. P px md md3. So this is px md3. So px md3 is 16. So if you go, so you can see. So at this point, we get to see the 8, 16 stuff. So, but you notice from there, the padding top is maintained at 5, which is actually coming from what you have here. So by default, all buttons are expected to have this default configuration. So, but we want for this light guy to have a different configuration. So we can just move this a bit down. And then we say padding left is this. And then padding right is this. So one thing you can do with SAS is you can actually write the media query too, because once you write the media query, we notice that the value change at this particular instance, and then because we are declaring a structure for button, if we don't declare it here inside this button declaration, like class button break declaration, we will end up doing something like this. Every button we declare, we have to be putting this stuff on it. We start putting px2, ps, md3, and all of that, and which you don't want to happen for your button, since your buttons should all look alike on all screen sizes. Whether you are using it at the top, bottom, or whichever page, as long as you are using that particular button, mind you, you can have the same button having what's called different colors. So usually you have the colors separated from the structure. So you can have button, small button, big button, medium, and all of that. So what we do here is this. Since we have what we do here is this, we split this thing into 2 parts. We say this is BNT button gray, which is button declared with respect to color. So we can have another section here, and then which is, I'll just copy this. Close this. So I'll just say small. So so when you see button small, you know that okay, we are talking about small button. When you see the gray, when you see it ending with gray or blue or black, you know you are talking with color. So which means with this, we can move this guy down. So which means if you have this button small, so which means we are saying this, and then you want to write the media query for it, you can write the media query like this at media screen. So minimum, you can see the suggestion minimum of what 768 pixel. What do you want it to do at 76 pixel? You want to write these guys, duplicate, move them here. You want them to use a different value. One REM. So, but you notice one thing here, this is not the proper, what's it called? At media, that's Musa, media screen only. I have the declaration for this at media. Okay, at media only screen and this. So you notice one thing here, when I copy something from this place, I have to change it because in this case, this is like advanced what's it called, SAS usage. So there's a structure already declared on when you want to write media query, just like what I have here. So if I want to write media query, I don't need to be writing this what I'm using here. But this is the normal stuff you see in normal CSS responsiveness. So I'm trying not to include that in what you have to do with here. So that's so for this, so basically that's just it. So when we pass it there, so this allows us to write, SAS allows us to write the media query of a component inside the component or inside of a class, yeah, or what have inside it. So we have this here and I can format it like this. So if you come to the CSS part of it, this is what you get. So you can see we have button gray, and then this is button small. So for button small, we have a media query written for it. It says button small by default padding of the 0.5 rem, which is 8 pixel. And then once it hits 768 pixel, which is our breaking point, we want this padding small, this button small should have 1 rem, and then this also should be 1 rem. So basically, it will satisfy the condition we have with this button. So for us to now generate this guy here, we need to put these 3 classes, BNT gray, and BNT small. So this way, we don't have to, it's not impossible you have some buttons which are small, just like this login button, but they have a different color. So, but if we've already packed all of this padding, whatever, inside this guy here, it will be difficult for us to actually tell. It will be, which means we have to declare another one for button of blue, button of red, and all of that. That's why usually you have them separated as separation of concerns. When you're dealing with color, you have a different what's it got to do with colors. When you have it like, okay, font size could be changing, you have another thing to do with that too. So we have this here. So we can now come back to this guy. I say BNT small. So I'm gonna come to this. So this is our button. Look at what you have here. Look at the button. Look at what you have here. So if we now inspect it, you notice something there, yeah, sure. If you come to this, sorry, if you come to this small screen.
Yeah, so stingy.
Hello. So what do we have here? We have for the default structure of this button, we have what? We have padding of 5, 8, border of 1, margin of nothing. So if we come to this place, what do we have here for the same button? So it's actually a whole lot of work. So we can see the border is also 1, margin of 0, then padding of 5, 8. And then when it gets to this, we can see only this guy has the padding along the x-axis as 10 to 16. So do we have the same thing? So we are looking at this. So we have the same thing too with this. So we are on points for this button. So we want to do the next button. So for the next button, what we have, you want to inspect the next button. Like I said, the Figma will tell you what you have. So you can see in the class you have here, you have new button, this, all of that. So we're gonna take this guy. Oh, we don't, sorry, we just need to scroll here. So if you click on this, you can say for this button, this is the definition for it. The color definition for this, the button is violent. So we're gonna come to this list. So we don't need to open this since we are not working with this. So a good was equal would be to copy this, duplicate it, and then change all of this. You notice the pattern they use there. You can see the gray and the violet, whatever. The only thing you have there, they have the same properties being replaced. You have background, border color, and color. So the same thing you have here. So which means for this guy, if I'm going to reference this guy, I'm going to take all of this. I can say from here, let me say BN this. BTN, BTN violet, BTN small.
It's good that you bought it, but I know you by the time you
We have
last year, as you
what we have
told me
here.
you want to divert wire.
What you have here,
It's not responding or it does not. Your connection is beautiful now.
okay, so we have this and this sorted, but you notice one thing here, they don't align. They don't align. This guy, yes, we have a bigger screen. Yes, at this whatever it seems they are aligned, but we'll get back to that. So you notice one thing here. So I want to put this at 440. This at 440, and this at 440. Do we have the same dictate for this guy? So I'm gonna click on this, come to this computed. So we have the same details, 16, 5, 1, yeah, sure. So when we get to a smaller screen, it's the same thing. So you can see we have a class working for this and this, and which is what we have for this and this. So now there's a part to it now, which is this guy on small screen, this thing suddenly shows up. But when we get to big screens, you don't have it. So we can do something here. You notice one thing here. Another thing rather is this button and these guys are showing here. Then at certain points, this guy is just joining. So you have something that looks like this. All of this section. So affiliates, pricing, all of this. If you are taking it down, they tend to disappear, but we have them here. So we want to do something here. We want to have this as something like this. For now, let me just do something like D none. Then D MD flex. So what have we done here? D none means on mobile. So since we are starting from mobile, we're saying from start, don't show this section. We don't want to see them. But when you hit the breaking point, MD, show these guys. So you can see here, we don't have them. On small screens, we don't have them. Then after certain points, which is the 7, 6, whatever we were working with, this guy is suddenly popping. So then another thing we want to adjust is the header in the design we have. You notice one thing here, you have a space of, this is body, and then this is the header. The header has what's it called? It has a padding of 12 pixel, 12 to the left, 12 to the right, and then it has this guy in the center. Okay, that's the only thing inside it. But if you come to what we have here, there's a defined space here. And one thing you need to be careful of when you're working is you can have some designers or developers, they will use a different, what's it called, for header. Declaration of header might be different from the whole body. But usually your content should not go beyond your header. Your header should be something that everything is under it, or at least they should have the same vertical measurement like this with the header, except for background images, because you can have some background just like you have with this one. You can actually have this thing extending from here to enter the side, and this extend to cover the side. Apart from that, the main content should align with the vertical, what's it called, of your header as well as your footer. If you check your footer, okay, in this case of this, the footer is filling up to this place, but the header has this, what's it called. So if you look at the content we have, all of them will align or will be within this, except this. Look at this exception we have here. They want a carousel that you don't see where it's coming from. You just see it, instead of having it starting from the middle of the, what's it called here, you have it coming like this. You just see like, okay, just sliding into the page, and then it goes at the other end of it. So those are just the few exceptions you have, but on a normal, what's it called, other contents will follow the alignment of the footer or the header. And in most cases, you see the footer and header aligning together, being the same thing. But in this site, we have a different situation. So everything still boils back to the design you are given to work with. So that's on that, but we've not really done much. We are still on this header guy. So we have these guys settled. We have these two buttons settled. We have these guys settled too, but this is not set. We have this guy, and then we need to pick the color. The color of this guy is what's so styles. Color is this is the color. So you can come to this guy, pick this. So color is this hash 111.
The village.
So you want to check if it's actually the default color. You check this too. This is 222. You can see we are seeing different blacks here.
And say
52, 52, 52. So we can do something here.
one day I bought a balloon. Then he gave me 150. That's good. I use 100 naira, 50 and pay a balloon. I ate one seed. Baba just entered. Just drop it in my bag. I think I drop it inside the when I was done.
So we can say something like text,
That one seed I drank.
text,
So yeah,
black.
like you give me 1, 2, those of sugar.
Hello. Hello, text, black.
Bye.
Okay. So we have text black. We can say text black, color. Text black, color is this. We say this is 11111 6 1 2 3 4 5 6. So this is black. So we have another text black. So we can say as roots. Black one. So black one will be this. Or we say we even take this out. There's nothing here. Or we say text black. Text black is so by default your black should most likely is 000. So we want to keep that here. 1 2 3. So, but we have this black. Then we have another black again. We have black 2, black 3. It all depends on you. So black 2 is this 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. And black 3 is 52, 52, 52. So what do we have here? So we have text black. So text black is black 1, black 2, black 3. So we get to use all of this with any of our guys here to specify what they are using. So when we check this, when we inspected this, we noticed it was using this 111 whatever. So which means this is black 1. These are black 1. So we can say all of these guys are actually black 1. So I can take this and come to this place and give them this. So they're all this and not showing the former blue color we had. Okay, so this is white. Okay, so button, we've already addressed button. So we have the color of this fixed. So we have one more thing to do. Oh God, so we are still on this guy. We are still on the header, and it's already past 7. Oh, what do we do? Okay, I'm gonna change this. I think we do something here. If I'm to go into the details of this, because we start doing some yes. Hello, I'm with you.
The first time I didn't understand what you're teaching.
I can hear you.
For the first time, I did not understand what you're teaching, honestly. For the first time. Anyways, let me just, I'll check the YouTube class later.
Okay. Okay, so please just go through it again. If you have any questions, just let me know. And please, while I'm going through this session, if anybody is having any issues with any parts, please always call me back. So it's not impossible. I might make some assumption. Okay, probably you missed some part of what we said at some points. So it's always better.
Honestly, I'm lost. I just get it because the class I was not recorded because I've never been this. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know. So if everybody's not saying the truth, I'll just say my own. I don't understand. Maybe I just have to go later, I'll check the class and see if I'll understand something.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so this is what we do. I will remove this back. So for now, we put this guy on hold because it's gonna take us some what's it called adding this to it. We have to do some positioning and all of that to this to actually have this the way we have it here. Yeah, sure. So basically I'm gonna return this for the first section so you guys can actually have something to work with. So the first part of it is doing this section. Then just leave this thing that is going up and down, just leave it for now. And like that, you can just continue like that to whatever you can do on this against next class. Allow it together. So I'm just gonna go back to this terminal. Okay. This guy. It's add. So I'm saying add all changes. I'm coming. You want to do something first. Okay, I said to remove the none on this guy here. So remove the none on this guy. So which means this guy is back to showing. So we want to give this is, if you look at what we have here, this is a button, or should I say an anchor? It's actually an anchor. It takes you to, it's a button. It's a button. If you check this guy too, it's also a button. This is a button. So they're actually button, not anchor tags, but they've been done in such a way that they take it to another, what's it called? You can see it's a button. They are using button for them. Or because if it's an anchor tag, if you look at the difference. When you're on the anchor, what's it called? You can see the URL here. Towards the bottom here, you look at this section. It will tell you this is where this thing is going to. But when you're dealing with button will not show you anything. Just click me, and when you click it, you know what's up. That's button for you. Okay, so from here we've brought this guy back, and since this is a button rather, so we open this section. So this guy, all of these guys are using, I will say, class btn violet. So you can see it has taken the what's it called. And then for this section, you might want to start this guy by saying MT5 first. We'll still adjust it later. It's just to have some space here. So we have this as this. And then what else do we have here? So you have an image, all of these contents. So inspect, so all of these contents, copy. So basically what do we have here? We have an icon, what's it called, this, and then this. So I'm gonna come back to this. Button, so it's a button. So it's a button. Is and then you can see we have something like this, which we later change. And let's say we have something like hash. Although with next class, I'll introduce font awesome, and which other all these.
Sir?
I said in next class you have to introduce all these parts to it, so you can actually have images and all of these things included. So if you look at what you have here, this is this. So it's not looking what we have there because I'm not using the right stuff here, but basically this is what we have. So we have this. Then you notice when I hover over this, the color changes to blue, to black rather. But we don't, if you check the actual site, you get to see the color. So in this case, the color does not change. So the color does not change. So in that case, you can come to this. Here's its violence. There's a property called at over. So you can say this button over. When you hover over this button, we want it to do something. So we can say violence or violent at over. Oh, I can just pick it straight up like this. So we want, whether button or at button, we want it to be the same thing. So what are we saying here? We are saying whether violent or over violent, we still want to maintain the color and all of these properties. So if you check now, the color is not changing. Are we together? You can see the color is not changing. So you can have, so basically that's how to get this guy.
Sir,
Yes, I'm
is
listening.
it illegal? Sir, is it illegal to be illegal
To do what?
to imitate what to imitate or make another website when somebody else has already made the website?
You working on another person's site, it's not illegal. What illegalities come into play based on what you do with the site. Okay, for example, you have situations whereby we have some guys, probably just those are just starting out. They will look out for a site and then rebuild the site. Just like this landing page, you might be like, okay, this landing page is horrible, it's not looking good and all of that. Then you build another one. The new one you build, you now submit it to the company. Okay, this is my mock-up, or this is my what have you of your site. If you're familiar with LinkedIn and all of that, you see a lot of stores from people like that. Okay, I made this site, I made some adjustments to this site and all of that. You guys help me to check and review and comment and all of those stuff. You see stuff like that on LinkedIn. So, but when you're copying somebody's site to give a wrong information about the site, okay, let's say, for example, somebody copied this site, and just like we are doing now, we now copied it, we hosted it on, what's it called? We tell them, like, okay, let's say, for example, it's a payments platform. Then we copied what we have, the content of it, we just made some changes to it, and then we connect our own payment channel to it and all of that. So, and we got a domain name, something close to this, probably this domain name now, we just get something like this. Instead of .com, we just get .com.ng. So, and anybody that visits this and .com.ng will be saying the same thing. But whereas in the recent of it, the back end of it is already sending your details, like, okay, you want to make payments on this whatever, it's already sending it something else. Then something is wrong. So, but you looking at the site to copy it, that's why you can actually inspect the code to see the source code of it. So the source code of a site is not hidden. Although we have some people that hide this part from you, that, okay, they don't want you to see it, but you can always see it. You can always see it and then do whatever you want to do with it. Adjust it, modify it. If you want to, you can use it, just like I'm using this site as a practice for us for this section. So it's more about the intent and what to do with the site. Okay, I think that's for this. So we have this guy. We have this content, this. So let me just move one more thing so that we can call it a day here. So we have this button, we have this, all of this. But this guy is just like this. But on mobile, we have it differently. You can see all of them are all here. So on mobile, we want all of these three guys, the button, the H, all of this. So contents, align item. So you can see this flex, what's it called? It says flex column. So justify content. Justify content is saying, how do you want them to be arranged? So we say justify content, align item. Now you need to be very careful of this. Justify content and align items, they are like interchanged when you have flex column. By default, flex is flex rule. But when you have flex column, there's like an interchange of those two guys. So basically, this is, you can remove this guy. So you can see what you have here, this guy here, and then this button. So for button, this is button. But something is wrong with the button, but the button is trying to extend itself to go beyond this. We'll address that later. So we can just give button something here. call 12. So we're saying column 12. So what you have there is take width of 12. Or you have it as, let's say, called 3. This is called 3. Is so then we want these guys, we are still gonna make some adjustments to these guys. We are not supposed to use color. I'm just putting that there so that we can easily wrap up what we are doing here. This guy, it's looking like this on mobile. On mobile, when you're coming from mobile, you have grid container this, and then you have okay, so we have this. So, but we have a different situation when we hit certain screen size. When we get to 700 and what's it called? This jumps to center, and this center. So which means what we have here, all of these guys, we have something different here. So we have align items MD center. So what you are saying is this: when you get to MD, which is that MD breakpoint, move everything to the center.